Recently I filmed a professional interview for another YouTube channel, Jack Talks Bikes. It was a real shoot on location with real constraints and very little room for error. Alongside the two main cameras, I also ran a body camera to capture some behind the scenes footage as the shoot was happening. This isn't a vlog and it's definitely not a gear flex. I'm not trying to show you what a perfect setup looks like. What I want to do instead is walk you through the actual decisions I made on the day, why I made them and how they held up in a real working environment. I'll talk about what worked, what slowed me down and what I'd change if I were to do it again. If you film interviews for YouTube clients or documentaries, this should give you a practical framework you can adapt to your own shoots. Context, the brief. Before we talk about the cameras, technical setup or lighting, the brief matters more than anything else. This was an interview with two different subjects on location at Moto Muse, a classic and modern motorbike preservation company. The founder of Moto Muse, Jason, was very welcoming and set aside the reception area for us to bring all our gear into. And the second, this time sit-down interview. These interviews needed to look dynamic, clean and professional, but they also needed to feel calm and comfortable. I had decided to shoot the first interview shoulder-mounted, just for Jason, to give a sense of space and environment. We had a good amount of setup time even after the main subject arrived early. We also had a controlled location and two subjects who weren't used to being on camera. So the priority wasn't just the image quality or the sound. It was making them feel comfortable enough to relax and confident enough to forget that the setup entirely was there. That's half the battle. Even before we got to location, the client wanted to create two distinctly different videos, but also have the opportunity to overlap them in possible future videos. So shoot both videos in the same location on the same day allowed us to do this. Every technical decision you're about to see comes directly from that. Camera setup. I kept the two camera setups relatively simple. For the first subject, Jason, I shoulder mounted the camera for convenience and dynamism. This allowed me total control of where I could move and where to frame up. This type of setup I've been doing for years at this point, due to the nature of my own work. For the main interview, there was one main camera on a tripod that was wide for context and to show a fuller environment, locked off with the main audio fed into it, and gave the client an option to cut to when he wanted to and when he needed to.
I want to be in the shot, a two-shot.
Yeah, but I thought you had another camera for the two-shot.
I have, I can put mine up if I want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up the angle a bit. I want to break that up a bit. We'll, I think we'll swap you around.
Is that going to be too?
You're going to be too.
I feel like we're a bit.
Two grown men on that couch. Yeah, it's too much. No, talk show shot. Single chair there.
Cushion. Watch the table. Watch the chair.
You're Conan O'Brien.
Are we straight on? Are we angled?
I'm going to keep it like that. We're going to throw the camera up, see what we've got. The second angle was originally much closer in physical positioning to the first camera, but when we tested this, it created a side-on shot that was flat and a little boring. So I decided to move this to an almost over-the-shoulder shot of the interviewee. This was a much more interesting shot. Both cameras were set up on tripods. It's nothing flashy, nothing that could distract the two subjects and the client on screen. There was no need to complicate things unnecessarily. The goal wasn't to be clever, it was to be dynamic, unobtrusive and easy for the client to live with in post. Lens and framing. Lens choices were simple enough. I have two cinema zooms, the DZO Film Picta zooms, both suitable for my main camera, the Blackmagic Design 6K Pro. I decided on the 20 to 55mm lens for the wide angle shot. I didn't want the camera too loose and I didn't try and hide anything either. But we always want our work to look great, right? So for the close-up angle, I didn't have my main B camera, a Pocket 4K from Blackmagic Design. I had the client's S5 2X with a Lumix 85mm f1.8 prime. I wasn't used to this camera, but the client, who in his own right is a videographer, gave me a quick camera tutorial. The 85mm lens had beautiful compression for the subject. I wanted to make sure I could input my frame to complement what I'd already set up with the wide angle. So on all those shots during both interviews, a Tiffin Black Pro mist was used, a 1/8 to be exact, on both cameras. But we'll talk about those a little bit later. These two setups kept the image natural and gave context and purpose of who the focus was for the interview. And psychologically, it stopped the setup from feeling too invasive. That matters more than people think when you're filming interviews. Lighting. The lighting was designed to be flattering and quick to set up. I set up one key light, the powerful Amran 300C. This was doing most of the work and gives me so much choice because it's full RGB. I placed it on an Arri stand to the right of the wide angle camera setup. With doing this, it didn't need constant adjustment. All of my lights can be controlled by an app, you see. My key light was positioned to the right of the wide angle and helped me complement the natural light and fill in where it needed to. With the cameras, lens choices and now lighting, I'd created a look that gave the client a lot more latitude when it comes to post-production and colour grading. Because of the almost wraparound natural light, I only had to set up one additional light. I set up an Amaran tube on an ARRI stand just behind and to the left, out of frame, to lift and separate him nicely. I wanted something consistent that would hold up even if the subject moved in his chair or the shoot ran longer than planned. Consistency mattered more than perfection. Audio. Audio is non-negotiable for me, and what I mean by that is I never compromise the audio because it's so crucial. If you have terrible audio, you're done.
What we do?
What needs to get inside your hoodie?
Of course you do.
That's so thick.
It's a really thick hoodie.
Yeah, let go.
It's high quality stuff.
So this was my setup. I spoke to the client on the way to location, going over some of the small last-minute details, and it was at this point that we decided, because of the nature of the interviews, that we run 2 DJI mics with softies on each and have them on the front of the subjects at all times. I did have lav mics available, but the client wanted it to be a bit more free-form, and this also guaranteed clean audio. So these simple choices made my life a little bit easier. During both interviews, I used a biodynamic headphone set to listen live to the audio feed. This is really crucial if you need to stop the interview and know where you need to make adjustments to the audio setup. Because no matter how good your image looks, bad audio will undermine an interview almost instantly. This is the one area where I didn't take risks. Why I used a body camera. The body camera was purely for documentation. This was previously agreed with everyone involved, so they are not surprised later down the line in this very video. The camera I chose to use was the DJI Osmo Nano. It's incredibly small for the image, using D-Log-M 4K profile and manual settings, provided a crisp and malleable image, and even the built-in sound was much better than anticipated. The camera was mounted on a magnetic lanyard provided, and gives an immersive sense of being in the middle of the action, through the point of view shooting angle. It wasn't there to be in the final Jack Talks Bikes videos, but as part of a standalone video that could show the process we're talking about today. It gives an honest and accurate depiction of the professional shooting experience. It shows what the space actually looked like, how much room we had to play with, and how the setup felt to operate in real time. It wasn't a distraction, but a useful tool to help reflect on what was shot, show the setups, and document for the future too. This was the first week of actually owning the Osmo Nano myself, and I'll be using it in all future shoots if appropriate and pre-agreed. It's not polished footage, but it's honest, and that's what makes it useful. What worked? Most of what was planned worked a treat. The camera setups and audio worked really well. From shoulder mounting the camera for the first interview around the warehouse to the audio across the entire video, and having so much natural light in the space enabled me to keep the footprint of the main interview shoot to a minimum. Doing a recce, an advanced look at the shooting space and environment, and in this case looking at photos of the warehouse because it was over 2 hours away, helped me immensely. If you plan well enough, most of the things you have planned will go like clockwork. The lighting setup was fast and easy to set up. The camera distances, where I was shooting from, helped the subject relax almost immediately, and this was one of the unknowns you have to anticipate as much as you can. And the audio setup meant I could focus on the conversation, not the technology. Those are decisions I'd carry straight into the next interview without hesitation. The biggest takeaway isn't what I set out to do, or the cutaways I capture, or anything like that. It's the quality of the interviews themselves. Both Jason and Phil are good people and love what they do respectively. That enthusiasm, if captured correctly, is palpable and helps the audience go on the journey with them. What I'd change? Not everything was perfect though. There were some mistakes, starting with not testing my shoulder mounted option for a long time. I shot an entire documentary feature last year with the main camera setup, but hadn't used the EVF for 6 months. The very first shot I captured with everyone was actually out of focus to begin with. That was totally on me, but through that I have learned not to make that mistake again. The second little mistake that I made was to stack 2 Pro Mist filters together, creating a 1/4 filter instead of the 1/8. This gave the footage more halation than anticipated, and I only realised this had been done once the footage was captured at home. I had a screw-on filter, but the mistake was that I had left another 1/8 Pro Mist in the matte box that I chose to use. I would next time bring my 4K Blackmagic camera as the B camera, doing the close-up. The S5 2X worked wonderfully, but I have a second pick to zoom lens that would have saved time in the edit bay rather than taking more time matching the 2 camera profiles and characteristics of the lenses. That's feedback you rarely notice when you're in the middle of the shoot. I hope you've liked this video. It's part of my Sunday editing series where I break down real shoots and real workflows and what goes into my process. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see something different or you'd want a question answered. I'm all ears and would love to hear from you all. Like and subscribe if you found this video interesting, and I'll see you in the next one.